If you are in that stage of your PhD in which you've done the work, you have your results, you have your data, you did your analysis, and now you have to put it together in a thesis, in a paper, in something, in a written format, in a conference talk, and you just realize that your research doesn't make sense. So, welcome to the club of people whose research didn't make sense at some point. I would say that this is 99% of the PhD population of the world, because we have all faced that issue. Now, the thing is what you can do about it. Like, how do you make sense of your research and put it into something that objectively makes sense not only to you, but also to your supervisor, your committee, your whatever, your colleagues that are going to read your paper, and so on. So the most important step that you have to take when it comes to making sense of your research, and this is the first thing that I do with my clients when I coach them, when I help them with this specific issue, is to make sure that you know what you already have. And this might sound trivial because I know what I did. I mean, it's my research. But when you actually start digging into it and start thinking about where those results live, where they are physically, from my experience of coaching many people, is that these results typically one part lives in a collaborator's drive that you haven't opened in maybe 2 years. Then another part is scribbled somewhere in some lab notebook. Then another part lives in some messy plots that you made in order to show your supervisor some progress at some point in a, random PowerPoint that you have somewhere in some folder, somewhere lost in your PC, and so on. So this is not a trivial thing, but it's the first and most important step in order to even attempt to make sense of your research. So that's the first thing that you have to do. You have to collect all of your data. You have to collect all of those things that you already did and take a look at that and say, okay, do all of these results point in the same direction? Do some of them point in one direction? Do I have some contradiction between those results? How can I explain all of that? Do some of these results align with what is already known? Do some results confirm my hypothesis, reject my hypothesis, and so on? So that's the very, very first step that you have to take. Because when you do that, the other thing that this is going to be like a consequence of that first step is to make sure that you know what are your next steps. Whether there are more experiments needed, more research needs to be done, more conclusions needs to be reached, and so on. So that's kind of the description, a very, very rough description of how this project and how this process looks like. It might sound trivial, but it objectively isn't trivial at all, because making sense of your own work that you did months ago or years ago, it's difficult per se. And let alone finding it somewhere scattered around your PC or in different places. So, having said that, if you are in that stage of your research in which you feel and sense that you have something there to publish, to complete your thesis, to present at a conference, but you cannot tie the things together, put it into a coherent and cohesive research story that makes sense both to you and to others, this is exactly what I help PhD students do. So I coach PhD students throughout their research process, make sense of their research, make sense of that scattered data, the random drafts, random ideas that have been abandoned at some point, or someone have been there on your to-do list since forever, but you never actually did it. So now you know what's next for your research. This is exactly what I help PhD students do. So if you are in that step, in that stage of your research that you feel like, I don't really know how to put all of that together, I want to invite you to schedule a completely free intro coaching call with me. I will leave a link down below in the description where you can schedule it. And in that intro call, we will discuss exactly where you're at with your research, what are the next steps that you can take, and of course, discuss your struggles, your challenges, and how we can what can we do in order to put all of those things together into a thesis, into a paper, into something that you can finish, submit, and publish or defend. So thank you so much for watching this video, and as always, see you in the next few days with another video. Bye bye.